Hey guys, this is Andrew with rockclass101.com, and in this week's ukulele lesson, I'm going to be teaching you an original song that I wrote, which I am calling Arabian Nights. Now, this tune is really cool because it's a duet, so you get to work on lead or rhythm playing, or both if you want to learn both parts. Now the lead part is going to be great for those of you who want to work on picking technique because the melody notes are played entirely as single notes, and we're going to be using Picado picking technique to play them, which I'll talk about in a couple minutes. Now, on the contrary, the rhythm part is all about chord work. So this tune kind of offers the best of both worlds in the sense that you get to work on lead and rhythm playing. Now, let's talk a little bit about this lesson because in this video, I'm going to be teaching the lead part. So this video is our part 1 lesson, and if you want to watch the part 2 lesson, which teaches the rhythm section, you can click this link or go to the site rockclass101.com, do a search for the song's name. Now also on that page will be the tabs that you can print off to follow along with, plus that really cool interactive on-screen tab viewer. Now this is a great feature where you can hit play, you can watch the tabs scroll across in real time, you can highlight bars to loop sections, slow it down to any speed you wish, just a great asset in learning this tune that much easier. And last but not least, we will have backing tracks on that page. So we're gonna have a backing track for the lead and the rhythm part. So regardless of which section you end up learning, you'll be able to play this song as a duet at home. And I'll go ahead and upload 100% speed, 75% speed, and if you can feel the beat, I'll upload a 50% speed MP3 as well. So let's go ahead and jump into learning this tune, but there's a few things we need to talk about first. The first one is that it is for low G ukulele, so grab the low G to follow along with. The second thing I want to talk about is that Picado picking technique. So it's fancy terminology that just means we are alternate picking. So if I take the open A string, I'm going to lead with my middle, follow with my index, and I'm just going to alternate like this. And I like to rest my thumb on the 4th string just to give me a little bit more stability. Now, if this is a new technique for you, you want to check out our lesson called La Gitanita, which I will link right here and in the description box below. It's a flamenco tune, really fun to play, and it teaches you that technique, breaking it down step by step. So it's kind of like a mechanics breakdown that is also accompanied with a really cool flamenco lesson. So if you're new to that technique, check out that lesson. It'll explain it in much, much more detail. And the last thing I want to talk about is that this song is in 3/4. So remember, we want to count 1, 2, 3, next measure, 1, 2, 3, next measure, and so forth. So let's go ahead and jump into it. We're starting off with our intro. Our intro is 6 bars in length, and if we put up the first 3 bars for the tab, you can see that we are playing measure 1 and measure 2, and then we are breaking for measure 3. So here's what measure 1 and measure 2 sounds like. So really catchy ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da melody to kick us off. Now, what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to go ahead and start with my index finger on the 6th fret of string 1. So I'm going to play that note. Then I'm going to use my middle finger to play 7, and then my pinky to play 9. And then I'm going to lift up, and I'm going to go back to 6. So try that. 6, 7, 9, 6. And you can see I keep my index anchored the entire time, just to make it a little bit more efficient and give me a little bit more stability with my left hand. Watch my right hand, it's doing the Picado picking technique. Now the next note is going to be 7 on string 2, so I'm going to use my middle finger, and then I can lift up my index, we don't need it, and I'm going to move my middle down to 5 on string 2. So just sliding right down. And that will give us the entire first bar. Rhythmically, 1 and 2 and 3 and it's all 8th notes. So you want to keep it nice and steady. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Going into the next measure, I'm going to go ahead and put my index finger down on 4 on string 2, play that note. Put my pinky on 7 on string 1, play that note. And then move my index up to 4 on string 3. and play that note. So the key thing here with measure 2, we switch rhythm to quarter notes. So we have 1, 2, 3. Okay, if I put 1 into 2, I have. So you want to keep that nice and steady. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3. So nice and steady for measure 1, switching into quarters for measure 2. We try together. 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. So not too hard to start us off. Now, here's the cool thing. Measure 3, we don't play. And if we look at the next 3 bars, which complete the intro, the same thing, we do not play. So when you have a break in the music where you're not playing, I'd recommend counting the bar number first. So going back to the first line of tab, I'm going to count it as this. I'm going to count 3, 2, 3, going to the next line of tab, 4, 2, 3, 5, 2, 3, 6, 2, 3. So if I count it that way, I'll never get lost. If I count it as 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, there's a chance you might get confused which bar you're on. Probably not with this song because it's only 4-bar break before we go to melody A. But if you're playing a song that has like 16 bars where you're not playing and you count it 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, all the way to 16 bars, there's a better chance you might get lost and you might get confused which bar you're on. So I'd recommend counting it out with the bar number first. So let's go ahead and take a look at what happens in melody A. So if we put up our first line of tab, we can see we're not playing for the first bar right here. So measure 7, again, we're not playing. So for measure 7, you can go ahead and count it as 7, 2, 3. So a continuation of how we counted the intro. So we're going to come in on measure number 8, and I'm going to go ahead and play measure 8 and 9 because it sounds like a complete musical phrase. So here's what it sounds like. So really cool. It's a bit of an Eastern sound. So if we look at the tab, just look at measure 8. You can see all eighth notes. Look at measure 9, you can see one note that lasts the entire measure. So that is a dotted half note. So the second thing we want to notice is the frets that we're playing. We only see fret 4 or fret 5. So if you see fret 4, I want you to use your index finger. If you see fret 5, I want you to use your middle finger. And the last thing we'll notice is that we're playing on string 3 and string 2. So that makes it really easy to memorize. So we only have fret 4 or fret 5, and we're playing on string 3 or string 2, and we know which finger to use for our left hand. So we're going to go ahead and start off playing 4, 5 on string 3. Then we're going to play 4, 5, 4 on string 2. And then back to string 3, we're going to play 5, 4. So if I put that together, I have rhythmically 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2, go. So not too bad. And again, keep that picado picking technique intact. It's a really efficient way to play this, especially when you play it up to speed. So the tempo that Evan recorded this performance at, which I believe is about 150 BPM. So let's go ahead and take a look at what happens next. So if we put up the next 3 bars, we can see our next phrase. And let me go ahead and just play through these 3 so we can hear what it sounds like, and then we'll break it down and learn it. Sounds like this. Now if we look at this first measure right here, it's going to look very familiar. It is identical to what you played in measure 8, except for the very last note. The very last note is 5 on string 2, whereas in measure 8 it was 5 on string 3. That is the only difference right here. So you want to just play that last note on string number 2. So here's a cool way you can practice. Try looping. So you can hear I loop that bar a few times. And looping is a good way to practice because it gives you a different approach instead of always going 1, 2, 3, and then coming in and playing it. So pick the method that feels good to you, that works for your playing style. Now, let's take a look at what happens next because our rhythm changes. So if we look at this next bar, we can see that we're playing a half note followed by a quarter note. So one way you can think of this as long, short. So you want to hold the first one longer than the second hit. So move your index finger down to the second fret on string number 1. We're going to hold that for 2 beats and then use our middle finger to play the 3rd fret. And we hold that for 1 beat and then we lift up and we play open A. So we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Try with me. So not too bad. If I put that entire 3 bars together, I have 1, 2, 3. Cool. So nothing too challenging so far. Let's take a look at what happens next. So for our next 3 bars, we can see that same rhythm happening where we had long, short. That's going to happen for the first bar here as well as the second bar. And then the last bar, we just have 1 note that lasts the entire measure. So here's what these 3 bars sound like. And let me play that one more time, see if I can clean up some of that unwanted string noise ringing out. There we go, a little bit cleaner that second time. So we're going to start with a grace note slide. So you see that little tiny 2, that is a grace note. And a grace note just adds flourish. So instead of us playing the main note, which is the 3rd fret on string 2, we can add a little pizzazz by going a quick grace note slide into it. So you want to take your middle finger, put it on the 2nd fret of string 2, and quickly slide into 3. That happens on beat 1. So fast 1. So give it to me fast 1. Now we hold that into beat 2, and on beat 3 we play the open A. So we have 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to play the 1st fret on string 2 with our index. Hold that for 2 beats, then go to the 3rd fret on string 2 with your ring. That's 1 beat, and then open E. So we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, done. Let's try that together. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, go. Beautiful. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, go. Cool. So not too challenging, right? Now here's a good stopping point. So we are 9 bars into this first melody A. And melody A is a little bit different because it's 20 bars in length. This entire tune is kind of unique. The intro was 6 bars in length, melody A is 20 bars in length, and then melody B will be 16 bars, so it's a little unorthodox. But if we stop right here, this is a good practicing point for playing, I would consider, the first half of melody A. So if I cycle through everything we have so far, it's going to sound like this. Remember, we do not play the first bar of melody A, so I'll count myself in. So I have 1, 2, 3. So that's a good gist of what we have so far. And let's go ahead and move on to what I would consider our second half of melody A. So if we look at this line of tab, we've got 3 bars, right? It's going to look very familiar. The first measure we see right here, this is measure number 16. That's going to be identical to measure number 8. The next measure is identical to measure number 9. The next measure is identical to measure number 10. And if we take a look at what happens next, The first bar we see here is identical to measure number 11. So backtracking, if I play these 4 bars in a row, we already know them. So everything so far for these 4 bars is just a copy, paste, repeat. So what we're going to start learning is measure number 20, because that's where the new music starts. So for measure number 20, we're going to play 5 to 7, and it's all on the A string. And actually look at the next measure. You can see those notes that we're playing, they're on the A string as well. Now here's the cool thing. These next set of notes, we're just going to use our ring finger to play. So very, very easy. Keep it nice and simple. So take that ring finger, put it on the 5th fret. You're going to hold that for the long rhythm, then move up to 7. That's your short rhythm. Then you're going to do that same grace note quick slide on beat 1, 7 to 8, and that's the long rhythm. And then move it up to 10, and it's the short rhythm. So counting it out, I have 1, 2, 3, slide, 2, 3. Okay, so try that with me. 1, 2, 3, slide, 2, 3. If we count ourselves in, we have 1, 2, 3, slide, 2, go. Nice. So a little bit tricky, I think, for this one, probably just because the rhythm. The rhythm to me, it's not syncopated, but it almost feels like it is. And I think that might be the thing that kind of takes a little bit of practice to kind of get embedded into our membrane, so to speak. But let's take a look at what happens next. So to end melody A, we're going to do a continuation of the same long short. So if we look at this first bar right here, we're going to go up to the 12th fret. So we're still using our ring. We're going to play that note. That's the long one. And then we're going to do a grace note slide up to 14. So that's the short one. So this one is a little bit unique because you're doing that grace note slide on beat 3, whereas before we've done it on beat 1. So we have 1, 2, 3. Oops. And try to get a clean slide, not like me. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so again, 1, 2, 3. So a little bit tricky right there. Now, here's where it is a little bit different. So we're going to go to 11 with our index finger. That's going to last the entire bar. And then we go down to 7. We can use that index again. That's going to last the entire bar. So you have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Try that with me. 1, 2, go. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, done. So it's a little bit different because you break out of that long short rhythm and you're playing the note that lasts the entire bar for these last 2 bars. So that is actually going to finish up melody A, because if we look at the next line of tab, you can see we don't play anything for the final 2 bars. So I would practice this second half of melody A beginning on measure number 16. And remember, these first 4 bars are a repeat of what we did in the first half. So that's kind of a good gist of it. Now, as you're practicing, you want to really just tap along to make sure your timing is perfect. I was a little loose there because I was just playing off the cuff. But if I play perfectly in time, at least as good as a human can play, I would have 1, 2, 3. There we go. So playing with a metronome or tapping along or playing with the backing track is going to be super helpful in getting this down. So let's actually do that. Let's do a play along now for the intro plus melody A with Evan. And I'm going to keep it at 100% speed. If it's too fast for you, feel free to use the cog in the YouTube player to slow it down to tempo that is better suited for you. But let's give it a go. So as we go into melody B, we're going to have a continuation of how melody A ended. So looking at this last line of tab right here, the last two bars of melody A wouldn't play anything. That's the same thing for melody B. The first bar of melody B, we're not playing anything. So if we look at the next line of tab, we are starting on measure number 28. So let me go ahead and play these three lines, or these three measures, and then we'll break it down. And there's one really important thing we need to talk about, which is going to make learning and playing so much easier. Here's what it sounds like. Okay, so that's a good gist of what we have going on. So there's quite a bit happening. Let me play it once more. I want you to watch my left hand. As I'm playing in this part of the neck, I'm going to be playing in position number 5. That simply means that I'm playing frets 5 through 8. So you can see how I have assigned a finger per fret. So anytime I have a 5, I'm going to use my index finger across all 4 strings. Anytime I see a 6, I use my middle. Anytime I see a 7, I use my ring. Anytime I see an 8, I use my pinky. So the majority of what we see on tab right here is going to be in position number 5, but then it moves down at the very end to position number 2. And the same rule applies. I assign a finger per fret, this time from frets 2 to 5. Now, if we can keep that in mind, it's going to make it so much more efficient and easy to play for our left hand. So watch my left hand as I play through that. So I'm in position 5. Moving down to position 2. The next line of tab, when we get to it, will be all in position number 2. So the other thing we want to notice is that we are playing straight eighth notes. We want to keep it nice and steady throughout. So let's go ahead and start off with this first bar, bar 28. So we're going to play 8, 7, 5 on string number 1. Then on string 2, we're going to play 8, 7, 8. Okay, let's try to loop this. Looping this, I think, is probably going to be the best approach because this section is a finger frenzy, especially when we get to the next line of tab. It is a finger workout and you're doing movements that you don't always do. So it's going to be a great workout for our left hand because it's probably going to work our fingers in a way that we normally don't. Let's take a look at what happens for the next bar here. So 29 sounds like this. So we start on 5 on string 1, go to string 2, we play Sev 5, go to string 3, Sev 5, Sev. So it's kind of just walking up. So looping again. It's a great way to practice. Now, moving into the next bar, just look at the first 2 notes. I want you to lay your index finger flat like a partial bar. You're going to play 5 on string 2 and 5 on string 3. Now, what I would do if I was you is I would practice 28, 29 plus the first 2 notes of measure number 30 because that is what happens in this 5th position. I would just play that phrase in and of itself before I move on to the next phrase, because this next phrase moves us down to position 2. Remember, 2 to 5. So we're going to move our index finger down to that 2nd fret. We're going to play that note, then the open C, then the 4th fret on string 4, and then the open C. So we've just got 4 notes to finish up. So 2, 0, 4, 0. If I put those 3 bars together, I'm keeping it nice and steady. So hit pause on the video, see if you can practice that on your own. Keep it nice and steady, go at a slow tempo. This is a lot to take in, so don't feel like you have to rush through this section. It's probably going to take the most amount of work as compared to the A melody, because we've got a lot more going on with the melody here. Let's go ahead and take a look at what happens next. So 31, 32, and 33. And actually, let's do this. Let's just look at 31 and 32. Because if we just glance at it, we can see it's a continuation of the 8th note runs. So here's what 31 and 32 sounds like. This is the part that I think is the most finger frenzy. It's going to make your fingers move in ways that you probably don't do often, but that's really good for building dexterity in your left hand. So go ahead and start on string 3. Remember, we're playing in 2 to 5, so position 2. Go ahead and play 4, 2, 5, 4. Then on string 2, 3, and then back to 5 on string 3. Oops. So you can hear I totally flubbed one of them. And that's a really good example of playing through your mistakes. Right? I didn't stop. I kept the timing going. When you get to performance ready and you're playing with the duet, if you make a mistake, do not stop. Play through it and keep going. Because if you're ever playing with a band or an ensemble or a duet, it doesn't matter. If you're playing with somebody else and you make a mistake, they don't stop. They keep going. The band keeps going. So anytime you make a mistake, play through it. It's good practice. And I guarantee you that if you're on stage performing for someone and you mess up, they won't notice if you keep going. They will notice if you stop and start again. So anytime you make a mistake, play through it. So this bar, really good one just to loop and play over and over again. Going into our next bar, we have 5 on string 2 to 3, then 2 on string 1, back to 5 on 2, and then 3, 5 on string 1. Again, great one to loop. Playing those two together. Sounds like that. So this, again, part of the video where you just want to hit pause and you want to work on it. It is a finger frenzy. It is challenging. Take it nice and slow. Keep it nice and steady. When we go into the next part, measure 33, we switch to quarter notes. So we're going to play 2, 3, 2, all on the A string. And let's add the next bar because that completes this phrase. The next bar you can see has us playing long, short rhythms. So we've got 1, 2, 3. So that's 3 on string 2 and then 2 on string 1. So I would practice 33 and 34 together because that feels like a complete phrase. So try with me. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, go. Nice. So if I play everything, remember I don't play the first bar for this melody B. 1, 2, 3. It's a good gist of what we have. Take it nice and slow. It is tricky, tricky, tricky stuff, but great dexterity practice for our left hand. Now that's actually the first half of melody B. The cool thing that happens is if we go back and we look at this last line where we finished, again, we don't play the first bar for the second half of melody B, so we're resting. And if we look at this last measure here, which is measure 36, that's going to be the same as measure 28. So exact same thing. Next line of tab. These three identical to 29, 30, 31. Looking at the very last line, the first measure here, identical to 32, except for the last two notes. take a look at those last two notes. Instead of going 3, 5, like we did in measure 32, this time we're going 3, 2. So that's the only change. So that's pretty simple. We'll skip a play along for that. Looking at the very last two bars to end melody B, we are switching to quarter notes, and we're going to start on 3. Then use your pinky to play 5, and you can move that pinky up to 7. And let's add the very last note, and we can play 5 with our middle finger. And that lasts the entire bar. So you have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, done. So pretty simple. Try with me. 1, 2, go. So in essence, melody B just repeats. So you're playing that same exact run. The only difference is the last two notes in the third bar to the end. Those last two notes go 3, 2. That's the only change. And then you have a different ending. So slight variation at the end. So let's do this, guys. Let's do a play along with Evan now, just for melody B. And we'll play through the entire melody B. Again, I'll keep it at 100% speed. If you need to, you can use the cog in the YouTube player to slow it down, but let's give it a go. So after melody B, we go back and we play melody A again, and then the song ends. So that's everything for our part 1 lesson, y'all. This is a really cool section that we have learned. It is all about lead playing, and as you saw in melody B, we had a lot of dexterity challenges. So we had some unorthodox fingerings where we're not playing in a typical fashion. A lot of times when we're playing ukulele, we're moving linear, where it just makes a little bit more sense. But for this tune, we're doing some things different. Like sometimes we go like that, and it's just a finger frenzy. That's the best way I can explain it. So this is a really good practice, not only for doing picado picking technique, but also challenging your left hand. Now in the part 2 lesson, we're going to be learning the rhythm section. And the rhythm section is the opposite of what we just learned here. It's all about chord work. So if you'd like to jump into that lesson with me, I'll be teaching it in the part 2 video at this link right here, or you can go to the site rockclass101.com, do a search for the song's name. Now also on that page will be the tabs that you can print off to keep for your records, plus that really cool interactive on-screen tab here, so you can literally hit play, watch that tab scroll across in real time, highlight bars, loop sections, slow it down, all that fun jazz, and last but not least, backing tracks. So I will be uploading a backing track for the lead part and the rhythm part, and I'll be uploading 100% speed, 75% speed, and if you can feel the beat, 50% speed MP3 as well. So once you learn how to play these parts, you can rock out and play the duet at home. So guys, I hope you enjoyed learning the lead part with me, and I will catch you in the part 2 lesson where we'll be learning the rhythm section. Take care.